Good evening. Tonight I'll be finishing up the second part of the More Than Rubies, the first of the 10, arguably 11, primary arcs within the DC Comics, Vertigo Comics Sandman run. This segment will cover, part 1 covered issues 1 through 4. This one will be covering 5 through 7 with a few minor comments on on issue 8 as well. Again, if you haven't watched part 1, this is part of my Vertigon series. As we approach the end of this year and the dawning of 2020, we'll be dealing with the closure and of Vertigo. The doors will be closing forever. And so this is a little bit of a retrospective, a look back on some of the books that were, although they did not start as Vertigo comics, most of them were DC imprints. When they moved into the Vertigo, they became synonymous with the Vertigo name. And Sandman is one of those, as one of the first primary 6 that was shifted over mid-run when Vertigo was founded in '93. So without further ado, I give you Sandman, More Than Rubies, issues 1 through 7, part 2. And we'll be starting with issue 5, which is Passengers. Now, where we left off last time, Morpheus had been Dream, one of the Endless, had been captured by occultists, imprisoned for a number of years. A sleeping sickness went through. There was references, thematic elements of a trinity, of duality. And then he went about and he was collecting totems. He got his bag of sand with the assistance of John Constantine. He went down into hell to get his helmet back by defeating a demon with a battle of riddles. And now we find him searching out the last totem that remains. And that is the ruby, the magical gem, and thus the More Than Rubies, because this is the story is more about More Than Rubies. But what we have also talked about is how Neil Gaiman and Karen Berger took this new character concept of Sandman from an old reference character and created him anew, birthed him anew, and formed a character that fit into the DC mythology. And the way they did that was by pulling things from the past in past DC books and bringing them into Sandman and merging the new story they were crafting with what already existed. And they did it in a very it was handled with a very deft hand, and it was done exceptionally well. And you could tell throughout all of these references that there is an appreciation and a love for this material. Now, issue 5 in Sandman is important because it's the last issue that Sam Keith did the pencils on. Following this issue, just a minute. Okay. Yeah, so following this issue, Dreidelberg would join the would move to pencils, and Malcolm Jones III would move over to inking it. Now, Dreidelberg takes over pencils in issue 6. He's still inking in this issue, but you're starting to see a shift of the style a little bit. You're going away from those misproportioned features that Keith was so renowned for, the up-close faces with the stark features. And you're going to go into more of a softness and a lack of those proportions. But we'll talk a little bit more about that with issue 6. But as far as issue 5 goes, you're still dealing with some of the similarities that we had in all the previous 4 issues. Now we open, and John D., Dr. Destiny, is escaping from Arkham Asylum. And you have this great shot that parallels the last shot. In the last shot, Dream was leaving hell. Towards the end of the book in issue 4, he's leaving hell, and you have this beautiful silhouette on the side that spans gutter of all 4 panels as Dream walks away and parts the Sea of Demons. And it's his silhouette. And we open up issue 5 to D escaping Arkham. And now, whereas Lucifer's silhouette was on the left side of the page, we now have the silhouette of a hanging figure on the right side of the page. Just very good art direction as far as carrying the story over. Again, if you're going from left-hand page to right-hand page, the eyes carrying across, you're mirroring it, you're framing the image. Everything in between is what's important. The hanging figure turns out to be Dr. Jonathan Crane, of course. And again, you can see Keith's, that elongated chin, those narrow features. That's Keith's style. And then you've got the shadow of the scarecrow behind Crane as he's talking. So again, you're still seeing some of that thematic influence of Keith's work throughout the book. And Crane engages in some back and forth with John Dee as he leaves, and little witty repartees that you expect from Scarecrow. And as John Dee escapes from Arkham Asylum, he kidnaps a woman and holds her at gunpoint and uses his mystical power to convince her to help him. Meanwhile, you see this terrified child in these number of panels, and the horrible visage of Granny Goodness is over them, and it turns out it is Scott Free. And Scott Free, also known as Mr. Miracle, one of the in the New Gods series, the Jack Kirby books that came over and were originally set to be independent, but were merged into the DC mythology. He awakes from his terrible nightmare of his time on Apocalypse and discovers that Dream is sitting next to him. And Dream is sitting next to him because he was told previously that the Justice League of America had defeated John Dee, had defeated Dr. Destiny, and has knowledge of where his Ruby is. And so he's coming to Scott Free for assistance. And he doesn't just come to Scott Free. Scott Free helps him find out where the Ruby is stored, but he also can talk to a member of the Justice League of America that was there. And that is Shawn, or Martian Manhunter. But to Martian Manhunter, Dream is not Dream, because Martian Manhunter is from Mars. He is not from Earth. For Martian Manhunter, he is a different god altogether. He is the god of dreams, and he has a different name and a different appearance. And you're starting to see we're tying in that mythology, and then we're broadening it a little bit. We're taking what is known and we're adding little pieces on so that you've got that strong foundation to build forward on. And so they go on, they find the Ruby, and again, you've got this beautiful, almost Kirby Ditko-esque 70s scene with this flowing artwork. And this is something that you're going to start seeing more of as Dreidelberg takes over. And you get these narrow features again that Keith's so renowned for, the out of proportion, disproportionate faces. And the color palette here is also something you're going to see start drifting a little bit in the book. The book is starting to find its legs. It's starting to self-identify that it is not just a horror book. There's something else going on here. And you got to remember, we're on issue 5, but we're really in the 5th month of this book. So you've got 5 months now under your feet of this creative team working together and finding direction. And then again, we go, Dream comes and he finds where the Ruby is stored, where the Justice League stored it, but it is cursed and it knocks Dream out. And Dee, meanwhile, is able to acquire the Ruby. And you get this excellent page that again shows that Keith out of proportion focus on the face, the large eyes, these odd jawlines, and this wonderful, wonderful image set in the curved panel on the right side of Dee's face, showing how horribly disfigured and inhuman he looks. And that's where that one closes out. And then we move in. Well, it closes out and it does a shot of a 24-hour diner. And that moves us perfectly into Mike Dreidelberg's first issue on pencils and Malcolm Jones III's first issue on inks. And they did a good job blending the styles a little bit. But moving forward from here, you're really going to start seeing a shift in the art stylings and the art flow compared to the previous 5 issues. And this one sets the stage, introducing the actors of the play inside the diner. And right off the bat, you can already see what I'm talking about with this panel. It's starkly different from everything we've seen before. And this is a credit to both Dreidelberg and Jones. And sadly, this is in '93, mid-'93. Malcolm Jones committed suicide in 1996. And but it was interesting. He was one of the first people that the 4 founders of the DC imprint Millstone approached. And Jones was known to be a little off by one of the creators. I believe it was Dennis Cowan of the Question fame, working with O'Neill on that. And he laughed and said that it would never work. So he ended up on this instead of working on Millstone. But that's why. And his ink work was exceptional at the time. Millstone was they lost something by not being able to pull Jones over, and a lot of his friends that did go to Millstone thought that maybe there's multiple comments that maybe something would have gone different in his life had he gone over to Millstone because of how many friends he had there, and he wasn't so isolated within the industry. So again, we see this this stark difference already in place, and we're going to set up the characters. It's we're in a diner, and we start introducing to all the characters that are in the diner, and then D shows up, and he starts using his powers to control and manipulate the people. And we see morality, we see conflict, but again, you've got this difference in style. You see these sharp lines, you see these figures, you see the glint of the ruby, the color splashes. You're starting to get that hint that this book is changing. It's no longer those scary panels of the scary monster faces that are out of proportion with normal human features. You're starting to get into more suspense. You're starting to get into more build that suspense. And what else is going on here? We're going to build some mythology. And this book is unique in a way for Sandman, because Sandman doesn't appear until the end. And then you get this. And this is the closest that you're going to get from here on out to the horror stylings of those up-close face shots. And it's just this beautiful, mostly black-washed page with just a little bit of light hinting at D's features and how, again, he's inhuman, contrasting to the normal, quote-unquote, people that are at the diner. And then we get this during a dream sequence that shows that we're still drifting away from that horror, but we're building that suspense. It's more of a suspenseful shot than a horror shot during one of the psychotic dream sequences that D is subjecting these poor people to that are in the diner. But now here, as we move through the page, we get to some of these sequences. And we have the people fighting. D starts pitting the males against each other, and they're fighting. And you get this beautiful sketch page that almost looks like it's just a wash in color, but it's so stark. And you're going to start seeing a little bit more of this. Again, we're drifting into more of this style. We're drifting into more of a noir, twisted style than the standard horror fare that up till now we've seen. Your panel lines are going to be a little different. Your gutter lines are going to be a little different. Dreidelberg's kind of pushing the envelope for what he can get away with and how far he can push this away from just a standard horror book. And Gaiman himself says that after issue 5 is when the series really started to get some legs and find its identity. And panels like this are why. They're starting to find a groove together as a creative team. So as the diner sequence ends, Dream arrives. And Dream arrives and challenges Dr. D, or John D, Dr. Destiny, to a battle in the dreamscape. Well, first he just challenges him. He wants his ruby back. And of course, D, crazed, dead bodies all around him as he has slaughtered and destroyed the normal people that are around him, challenges him and says, "No, it's mine." And so we have Sound and the Fury, and you get this nice closed entry that again shows that nice pencil work that Dreidelberg's already hinting at in the previous issue. And then we get this, which now you're starting to get, you've got that horror shot, but it's not the same as it's been. It's more subdued. The color is elsewhere in the page. It's not as stark and shocking. Everything around it is more important than that scene. And this is what's flowing more now. So Dream and John D start their conflict. And now here, the thematic element of this one, I mean, if issue 5 is a theme of parallels, and issue 6 is simply setting the stage with exposition, issue 7, far and away, is again going back to that duality. We see these beautiful black and white series prints followed by the psychotic space of the dreamscape. Or alternatively, and this is something that the series was also renowned for, these beautiful blank pages as they're in Dream. All you see is D walking through nothing, emptiness. Total opposite of what you would expect to see comparatively with what we have seen previous. And so D and Dream battle in the dreamscape. And of course, Dream emerges victorious. D tries to destroy the ruby. It gives Dream all of his power back. Dr. Destiny is defeated. And the Sandman, Morpheus, takes him back to Arkham Asylum. And you get this great little throwaway line. It's "There's no place like home, Professor Crane." As he's dressed, his silhouette is that of the Scarecrow. So it's a nice little Wizard of Oz reference to it. So before I close out, I do want to talk a little bit about issue 8. And issue 8 obviously would be in the 8th month of the series and serves as an exposition filler. It's catching the reader up on everything, but it also does one very important thing, and that's in this light, airy story that's just two people talking for the most part and sitting on the side of a fountain. Death is introduced. And Death was the Endless One, the older sister of Dream, of Morpheus, that was the one that was originally trying to be sought after by the occultists when they trapped Dream. And you get some nice exchanges there. And you have Death, this this pixie goth girl who's dainty, almost an adolescent look, but exceptionally wise, the older brother or the older sister to Dream. And she gives him some advice. And as their back and forth ends, these young people that are playing around, one of them dies. And you see that she's just been waiting there to greet the one into death. And it's this, it really closes out this first chapter so well. It shows you the small arcs. You've got the overarching arc between all 7 issues. You've got minor arcs between issues 1, 2, and 3 that are all encompassed. You've got arcs between 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 as he goes through and Dream goes through and searches for his totems, the bag, the helmet, and the ruby. And you really get the sense that the mythology at this point is fairly well woven. Sandman, Morpheus, this series now fits with everything else. We've included multiple characters. We've tied it in with Constantine. We've tied it in with Cain and Abel. We've tied it in with Lucent. We've tied it in with Gregory the Gargoyle. And we've tied it in with Dr. Destiny, the villain from the Justice League. And we've met 2 members of the Justice League. We all exist in the same universe. The mythology can build from here. So I thank you very much for taking your time to watch these. Please like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And I'm looking forward to providing more of these kind of style reviews and walkthroughs with a little bit of history as my channel moves forward. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful evening.